Welcome back. Town Talk today brings Melissa Origi, Plymouth Town Manager, to our set. Welcome
Hi.
back.
Thank you.
Lots to talk about. It's the new year.
Yes.
Happy. What's going on in February as far as snow removal?
You know, surprisingly, it seems like it's been a mild winter so
Yes.
far. But, you know, you go through the budget fairly quickly in a large town like this. We have to hire in a lot of contractors. So right now, we've worked our way through, just with these two storms, our current budget.
It's all gone?
It is. So we're going into some deficit spending now, but that's fine.
Okay.
It is late in the season. This is not typically off schedule for us to be doing this with the budget. So we are hopeful that we're going to have a mild winter, but February and March can be crazy.
Right. But it was, what is it, last year or the year before when we had that big snowstorm, we didn't have any snow until January 26th. And then it didn't stop snowing for 3 months. So let's hope we don't have that repeated this year.
I agree.
Budget items, let's talk about some budget items that are going to be coming up.
Sure. So our operating budget is up to about $211 million. That doesn't include any of our enterprise funds, but that's a significant budget. And I think as people talk in town, certainly when I go to the local coffee shops and they're talking about taxes, one of the questions I always pose to them is, what would we be willing to give up in this town? We have to run 12 schools, 7 fire stations. We have a police department of over 100 police officers. We have a very active senior center and a growing population in that area, so I'm not actually sure what we're willing to give up. Now, certainly there's things that we're going to work on, and I think the most important there is looking for other sources of revenue. There isn't necessarily a hidden tax. So, for example, right now, most people contribute to our property taxes. One of the things that a group that we put together, a Revenue Idea Task Force, a few years ago looked at is there any way to tax in some way nonprofits, or those properties that are off the tax rolls? It might be something in lieu of services. It may be a payment in lieu or a service in lieu of a payment. And I think those are things that we can consider. Certainly when I was just at the Massachusetts Managers Conference, they talked about things that we all have in common, such as taxing some of these different properties. They also talked about, of course, the opiate crisis and some other issues. But it was interesting to see that a lot of us, as we run everything on our tax rolls, see a significant amount of properties that don't pay into
any
that
taxes,
roll.
right. And it's all nonprofits, churches, what else?
Those kind of things.
Was there anything else that comes to mind?
Sure. There's some... the state properties, they pay a very low tax amount. And of course, we have a lot of that in town. And there's a lot more nonprofits than one would think. Some that don't always seem like they are indeed a not-for-profit association.
So you're going to look at that this year?
We are. I mean, when you look at some of these facilities in other communities, right now they're voluntarily making a payment, a tax payment to the community, and I would like to see them do that here as well.
Could they do in-kind donation instead of money?
Absolutely. We can work with them.
Okay, that's great. Big items for town meeting.
Couple things going on for town meeting. One, the schools, they're wrapping up their project at Plymouth South High School. And I can see in this community where there really should be equity between the two schools in terms of athletic fields. Now the budget, the construction costs are a lot higher now than they were when we built Plymouth North. So the schools have approached the Board of Selectmen, and they'll be coming to town meeting looking for some additional funding for the fields. And you may have heard a little bit about that, somewhere around the $3 million range, maybe slightly higher. That's a big decision to make. And that's one, do we think about going to the Department of Revenue, putting in a special application that lets us spend those funds for the fields as part of the override that the town provided to us years ago. It's certainly an option. It's a legal option. It's one, though, that we want to vet properly, both through the selectmen and the finance committee and town meeting to see if we can do that.
So everything's on the table. What about the numbers for
sewer?
Yes. That's what we want to talk about.
I knew you were going to bring that up. So we're still looking at an overall $48 million project. Now, right now in the process, we have removed the 30-inch main. We've replaced a 24-inch main that goes all throughout the community. Currently, at the moment, we are removing those two bypass lines you saw snake through the town. We are removing those right now, and we just opened the bids for the second redundant 24-inch main that will go right along parallel to the first one, so that the event one goes down. We have the other one to use now, not like before. Those bids came in lower than we anticipated, which is great news for the town. Hopefully that will keep us right on budget, and I think you'll see that work start, I'd love to say right now, but probably sometime next month.
Okay, and finally, you're going to be moving into the new, your new beautiful town hall in
So
July,
sometime in
August?
July,
Okay.
Maybe August, though it depends on what
Okay.
happens this winter. I'm nervous about the move. It's not something many of us have done before in
Yep.
town hall.
Yep.
So we're excited,
Yep.
but we have to actually think about shutting down services for the day
Yep.
in order to accommodate
Yep.
much of the move. We had to cut back on the budget,
Yep.
so we're only going to have a small amount will be professionally moved. The rest will be done by staff.
Yep.
But we want to make services as seamless as possible.
Okay, it'll be fun.
It
and
will
maybe
be.
you'll get a lot of volunteers to help you move.
Oh yes, I'm looking for you.
I'll be there. I'll be there. Thank you, Melissa.
Sure.